A finance employee in Hong Kong joins a video call. His CFO is on screen, with 5 colleagues he knows. He'd been suspicious of the email that morning. Now, he's at ease. Over the next day, he wires $25 million to 5 accounts. None of the people on the call were real. So here's the question. Can you still tell what's real? Can your eyes and ears, the equipment you've spent a lifetime trusting, still authenticate the world the way they used to? And if they can't, do you know what does? Because the gap between "I looked at it carefully" and "I called back on the saved number" is measured in millions now. The FBI's 2025 Internet Crime Report puts last year's AI-attributed losses at $893 million. They say that's an undercount. Here's the part of this story the internet has built an industry around. How to spot a deepfake. Check the hands. Watch the blinking. Look for the shadow that doesn't quite match. The implicit promise is that with the right checklist and careful attention, you can hold the line. I want to give you that checklist because there is one place where it almost works. On video specifically, humans still beat the best automated detectors, about 2/3 accuracy. The algorithms come in near chance. Researchers at the University of Florida ran the comparison this January, with thousands of participants and the leading detection tools side by side. We pick up subtle inconsistencies the algorithms miss. The way a face stays a beat too still when the head turns. The micro mismatch between mouth and breath. Those tells are real. So I spent a weekend testing this. I ran every modern image generator and video generator against the full catalog of advice. The 2022 outputs, the original "spot the fake" articles were written against, right next to the 2026 outputs you actually run into. On the video side, 2/3 is honest. Lip sync still glitches, lighting still slips. If you're watching like a hawk, on a good monitor, with no urgency on you, you can find the seam. So the advice culture isn't wrong yet. The hands and the eyes and the blinking still mean something on the right clip, on the right day, when you're looking. That's the strongest version of the case for trusting your perception. It's narrower than the headlines suggest, but it's about to run out of runway. But here's the catch. On still images of faces, that same Florida group just found humans perform no better than chance. iProve, the identity verification firm, asked 2,000 people primed to catch fakes, and exactly 0.1% got everything right. Across 56 studies, the cleanest synthesis run on this, the average person catches an AI-generated image, video, or audio clip 55% of the time. A coin flip with a slight thumb on the scale. On high-quality video specifically, accuracy drops to 24.5%. You guess wrong more often than right. The bigger and more uncomfortable finding is overconfidence. iProve clocked detection confidence above 60%, regardless of how badly people actually did. Strongest in adults 18 to 34. Confidence and accuracy don't track. They drift in opposite directions. Remember the Hong Kong employee? He was suspicious before the video call. Then he saw his CFO, heard his voice, watched his colleagues nod along. He got more comfortable. His perception did him in. And the audio is worse. McAfee benchmarked it in 2023. About 3 seconds of someone's voice is enough to clone it at 85% match. Consumer voice tools have only gotten cheaper since. In early 2024, 2 days before the New Hampshire primary, thousands of voters got a robocall in President Biden's voice telling them not to vote. The FCC traced it to a political consultant, issued a $6 million forfeiture order, and indicted him on 26 counts. The clone sounded right because it was his voice, just routed through an AI that learned it from 3 seconds of source audio. So I tested the detectors too, the ones meant to replace your eyes. I ran NewsGuard's methodology, NewsGuard audits misinformation tools, against 5 major commercial detectors, with a small set of authentic news photos and a small set of recent generations. The tools flagged real photos as AI about 13% of the time. One tool, the one whose website still claims industry-leading accuracy, got 40% of authentic war photos wrong. In 35 of 45 images, at least one tool disagreed with the others. There is no industry consensus on what counts as AI-generated. The detection layer is broken in a different way, but it lands at the same place. This isn't abstract. This is the price families pay. Which means if perception is broken, and the tools meant to replace perception are broken, every urgent ask in your inbox or on your phone is now a coin flip you can't see. The gap between "I looked carefully" and "I got cleaned out" is now a single channel. One phone call, one video meeting, one audio clip of a grandchild asking for bail. So the question you have to start asking isn't, does this look real? It's, how would I check on a different channel in a way the sender can't fake? You can't still tell what's real. not reliably, not at the resolution that protects $25 million or your grandmother's savings. The catch isn't perceptual, it's structural. You don't get better at seeing, you change what you trust to verify. 4 moves, all available today. The first is a code word. 1 word, pre-agreed. Family and close circle, only spoken in person. If a caller claims to be your kid in trouble and can't say it, you hang up. That's the structural answer to the perceptual problem voice cloning created. The FBI now puts this advice in its consumer alerts. So does the FTC. The second is the saved number. Any unusual request, wire, gift card, password, login approval, gets verified by calling the person back on the number you already have in your phone, not the one on the screen, not the one in the email. The third is provenance, where it exists. There's a standard called C2PA, cryptographic signing at the camera, verifiable downstream. Leica adopted it, Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fujifilm. Google brought it to phones with the Pixel 10 last August. The EU AI Act's labeling rule for AI-generated content starts enforcement this August. The catch is that platforms still strip the metadata when you upload, so it isn't the whole answer yet, but it's the answer in progress. The fourth is lateral verification. Don't evaluate the suspicious thing in isolation. Open a tab. Look for a second source, a wire service photo, an official transcript, the original recording. In 2023, the open source investigators at Bellingcat flagged a set of Midjourney images of Trump being arrested that had gone viral. They would have failed this test in 30 seconds. The people who shared them as real never opened that tab. The cleanest evidence on any of this comes from Northwestern. 200 people, 95 AI detectors, 2 video datasets. Humans alone, 74 to 78%. AI detectors alone, 54 to 61. Combined, 92 to 94. The errors are complementary. Layer the channels, and the failure modes stop overlapping. The frame you've been operating under is, does this look real? The frame to switch to is, what channel is this coming through, and is there a second one? The signal that should now activate suspicion isn't a visual artifact or an audio glitch. It's channel singularity, an unusual request that arrives through exactly one channel. A single video call, a single voicemail, a single email, a single screenshot, and it asks you to act before you can route it through a different one. That's the tell, not the look, not the sound, the shape of the ask. So the next time something feels urgent and arrives in one channel only, a frantic call from a family member, a strange email from a colleague, a video of something you weren't expecting to see, the move isn't to look harder at the content, it's to break the channel. Call back on the saved number, text the person on a different app, search the wire for the event. 9 times out of 10, the urgency was the manipulation. The second channel is what makes the manipulation visible. Here's the one thing worth doing this week. Agree on a family code word. A single word the people closest to you would know that lives nowhere except in your shared memory. It costs you a 5-minute conversation, and it replaces, in one move, the entire perceptual layer the voice clone tools just retired. Back to Hong Kong, the finance employee, the video call, the $25 million. The catch in that case, when it finally came, was a phone call to UK headquarters. The same phone call, made before the wires went out, would have ended the scam in 30 seconds. His eyes weren't going to save him. The deepfake was good enough. What would have saved him was the second channel. That's the memo. Read.